anyone can write a good program. Anyone can put multiple methods and different training principles into place. But the thing that always comes back, the thing that people buy into, the thing that people want to be a part of is your favorite human connection.
It's true.
It is. Like that's a full serious thing. Like it is. That's people want to be seen, felt, heard. Like they want to be a part of something. And I think what we've tried to do with our space is the more foreign things I think that have been hard for us are the business side of things, because we do know how to program, we do know how to PT and do all that, but the empathetic side I think comes quite naturally for us. And that's the side where we don't have to think about doing. Like if anything, we'd probably have to pull back sometimes to not fall into that too much, to make sure that we're still on track of, hey, we're still running a business.
All right, episode 15 today.
1-5. Didn't you say that's a lucky number?
It is a lucky number.
Where's the luck come from?
I don't know. And I don't know why it's a lucky number either, but I rate it.
Is that like a normal thing? Do people know 15's lucky?
No, but if they didn't, they do now.
Sweet. You know what's lucky too about this? Look at my chair. Can you see that? Look.
Jaden's got a rocky chair.
Look at that rocky chair.
And if you're watching now on Spotify, which is so hectic, you're going to notice that there's a bit of a different dynamic again to last week. Gaz was too good looking.
No one sitting there.
Yeah, no one there. So that would just be 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yep, 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah. Oh, but if you carry the 3 on the end, then
and then you divide and multiply by 0.4. Yeah.
Clearly checked out that class, didn't you?
Last episode we had Gaz on. A fucking mad episode, but he was too good looking, so we had to get rid of him. Pierso is
good looking as well.
Also good looking.
Had to get rid of him as well. We're actually going through a big cutting phase.
Everyone's too hot.
We've actually realised that we suck and we're heaps ugly. So everyone that comes on, we actually just have to cut them out.
Fuck. Who's going to get dropped first?
Get better looking. Oh,
this is big discussion.
Don't even bring height into it.
All right. If we're basing it off height, you're fucked. You're gone. Gone. All right, on a serious note, yes, episode 15, it is a lucky episode, but Jaden and I decided to just do a podcast together.
We get a little bit more intimate. I mean, like it's with Pierso, it still is. We're all like cute and cuddly, but
I always fondle his leg under the table with my foot. Yeah,
you've done that to me.
Like that? You like that?
Why haven't you done that to me?
You or the chair?
Hey?
Is that you?
Rock solid, baby.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a big calf.
Feel that calf.
All right, on a serious note, let's take two to the cough.
Might as well get into it a little bit, shall we?
I think there's a reason that we run the gym together and why we're as close as what we are. I think we have a lot of similarities. The strengths that you have, I probably don't have in some areas and vice versa, and I think it's why we make a pretty fucking awesome team.
I think we're actually getting to the point now where we're like genuinely in sync.
Yeah, it's
like there's some things that you do, even on the podcast, I go to say something and then you say it. I'm like, oh, get out of my head, you dog. That'd be our most common phrase that we say to each other.
Yeah, we do. We always actually do that.
Get out of my head.
We'll like go to do something in the gym, like clean up a certain area or fix a certain
I hate when you clean up before me. It's so proactive and productive. Yeah. Oh,
and it makes you feel shit.
You drive me crazy how good you are in your job.
Although I was trying to vacuum today, that thing.
Oh, I told you, it's a shit vacuum.
Oh, no.
It's not. No, it's actually a really good one, but it's just not the right location.
I cleaned out the head of it today. It was just full of hair. So the ladies in the gym, thank you. All right. We're going to deep dive into a few areas today. Things that I think are relevant to us, and I think we can only really talk on experience. People that talk on not having the experience, if that makes sense. It's bullshit, in my opinion. So, working hard, I feel like we do work hard. And doing what we say we're going to do, I think.
Oh, yeah.
For us is a big thing. Caring deeply about the services that we provide, plus other people, just generally caring about others. And a big one for us, our empathetic nature and our ability to go within. That has been said to me on multiple occasions that being very empathetic in business can be a downfall.
Hey, it can be a two-way street for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think a service-based offering like we have, it's probably our biggest strength.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We both come from the background, and I think what we've offered to our clients and people in the past is very similar in the service of there's this really, really good balance of that empathetic nature that we bring with obviously the ability to succeed with business and how we actually put things in place, plans in place, goals in place. Yeah, a lot of people talk about with the empathetic nature being, something, I don't know, I wouldn't say like to steer away from, right? It's not just necessarily steer away from, but how it can come and bite you back in the ass. But I think we're grounded enough to know that, and we have our boundaries set pretty firmly, and we're pretty confident with that, anyone can write a good program, anyone can put multiple methods and different training principles into place, but the thing that always comes back, the thing that people buy into, the thing that people want to be a part of is your favorite human connection.
It's true.
It is. Like that's a full serious thing. Like it is. That's people want to be seen, felt, heard, like they want to be a part of something. And I think what we've tried to do with our space is the more foreign things I think that have been hard for us are the business side of things, because we do know how to program, we do know how to PT and do all that, but the empathetic side I think comes quite naturally for us. And that's the side where we don't have to think about doing. Like if anything, we probably have to pull back sometimes to not fall into that too much, to make sure that we're still on track of, hey, we're still running a business. But
yeah,
that's, I think, with still having our little slice of humble pie, I think that's something that we have been able to separate ourselves massively with the gym, is continuing to have that empathetic nature. Like our feet aren't getting lifted off the ground by any means. I think if anything, the last month or two, I've actually doubled down on that, because I see not the return on investment in business, but the return on investment in how it's actually helping people and how it's changing their lives. Like that's why we're doing what we're doing at the end of the day, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to help people, and that is a massive part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and probably similar for you, but I think I've learned to balance my empathetic nature with not getting pushed over, not being a pushover.
Yeah, there's a line there.
In the past, that's definitely been a weakness for me, like being over empathetic. And, that's got me hurt at points in my life, both relationships, friendships, business related things as well. But I think in my opinion, I've taken on board those experiences. And honestly, I think you're a bit of a goose if you're not taking lessons from experiences in your life, both positive and negative. So, for me personally, like I'm really, really happy with where I've got to at that point of knowing how to balance how much to care, how much to invest in someone, but not become a pushover.
God, we've had this conversation so many times, I feel like, with different circumstances, different instances, things we've been through. It really is a dichotomy of balancing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because there have been a few times in the past with friends and even in business where we've probably been a bit too over empathetic, and it's end up come back and biting us. But I think, like you said, again, it's knowing your boundaries and knowing that you don't want to completely numb that trait that you have, but it's a matter of ensuring that you're not giving it too much to the point where you end up giving too much of yourself that you start falling backwards and it starts to become something negative, right?
Agreed. Resilience. How do you think you've gotten to the point in your life? Because I see the way that you operate, the way that we operate the gym, but you specifically, I think your ability to just like show up each day and just, even when days don't go to plan, you still just manage to like put a fire out, get on top of it. And that's that for me, that's that resilient mindset of like stuff's going to pop up in the day, but it's about getting on top of that thing, controlling what you can with that situation and just almost like ticking the box and like getting onto that next thing. And I feel like you're really good at that with I guess your life experience. Where has that come from for you, and has that always been there?
Thanks, mate. That's really sweet. So cute.
Got your back sometimes.
Thanks, bro. Tickle my leg again.
Yeah, under the table.
Honestly, man, I thinking most recently, a lot of that would actually have come from you. So,
you can't do this. It's back and forth.
Yeah. My time, all right? I'm talking. But for real, because this is going into like our strengths and weaknesses, I'm very much someone who I think in the past I definitely put things into action because that's what allowed me to build my own business and to be in this position where we are now. But I'm very much a deep thinker at times too, and sometimes I can get paralysis by overanalysis. Like I can think of things too much to the point where no action or inaction becomes my move, which is an action in itself, but not a good one. As soon as I met you and we did this, you're the complete opposite end of that. Not so much, not a deep thinker, but you're action first. Like, you know that in order to get shit done, like there's no way around that. It's just got to be done, right? So we've talked about this before, but we've balanced each other out really well with this is sometimes you need to step back and think about something before you put action ahead. But there's other times where thinking about it can paralyze you too much that you just need to do it and get shit done. And that's where we've balanced ourselves out heaps. But bringing that back around, what I want to touch on with that is I've learned a lot from you with that is because despite what's happened with the gym, like the way your mindset works a lot of times is there's no other option. Like there's no other option. Like it needs to be done. So if it doesn't go the way that you intended it to, or it's not planned, okay, too bad. Like you have to find another way. So being around you, I've never been able to actually fall back into that state of mind and being like, oh, it's not working. Like maybe it's not the right way to do it, because you just go, well, no, like we have to. There's like, we need to find a plan. We need to put an action into place. And being around that long enough and, you know, spending every day of our lives together now, you start to pick up a few things. But yeah, I don't know. It's the way, looking back, I mean, when you look at things like that, I've just made it very simplistic in my head, which there's probably a more complex answer to it. But when I get faced with difficult situations now, my mind literally just goes, well, there's two options. Like you do it or you don't. Like it's a sink or swim situation. And the more you think about it, I'm like, well, how can you make that look any different? How does sink or swim look any different? Because when I look at it, I'm like, okay, we either don't do it, and then what does that look like, and where does that take you?
Yeah.
Or you do it. Like when you simplify it like that and you make it black and white, and I know a lot of the times it can look very grey, but when you bring it back to black and white, it's black and white.
100%.
And so when you look at it like that and you dive into resilience, I'm like, well, I don't want to sink. Like, why would anyone want to do that? Like, you look at it in such an unreasonable choice. Like, where that takes you and where you want to look, like it's a form of self-pity. It's a form of like victimizing yourself. And then you go, well, I could fall into that, but yeah, like I got an excuse to fall back on. I'm like, yeah, but that's shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But it's also that soft, easy option that most people can justify to themselves.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of us end up doing that. I know I did it like in the past too, is like you almost like don't try hard enough. So then you have an excuse that if you were to do it and you fail, then you can have something to fall back on. Yep. Because like if we go all out in something and it doesn't work, fuck bro, that's scary. That scares people, because like, well, I gave it everything. Like I swam the whole way and it still didn't work. Where does that leave you?
Yeah.
That just leaves so much on the table. Like I just can't, when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, but why would you want any other option? Like, why would you not just like have a crack? And yeah, that's in terms of approaching resilience. I'm very simplistic with it in my head now of just like sink or swim. And that's tough. Like there's times where there's very much I want to sink, because I'm just like, fuck, I don't know how to do this. Like I'm too overwhelmed. It's too hard. It's not going to work. But I'm like, but then what does that look like? That doesn't get rid of the problem. Like the problem will just intensify over time.
It's that procrastination, right? Like whatever it is, who said it? Chris Williamson, actually. He was like, you know, greatness is on the other side of avoiding the shit that you're trying to
The magic avoid. Is in the work that you're avoiding.
Yeah, exactly. So you way better.
Yeah, so that's way better.
But yeah, it's right. Like similar for me is like I think, you know, about whatever it is that needs to get done, but then you think about what are the consequences of not doing this thing. And if it's something that you have to do or you should do, what are the consequences of not doing that? And
100%.
A lot of the time, if it's like procrastination with work, it's like, well, that looks like it's now something that has to be done tomorrow, but tomorrow looks like a big day already. And so I'm just going to push it to Thursday. And for us, like, especially with the operation of the gym, really try to be, you know, as proactive as possible, because that leaves a really good mark on and ultimately experience on the people that are getting that service, you know,
100%.
Like people needing, or just knowing that their programs and their plans are going to be ready to go that following block that's starting on the Monday or whatever that looks like. Like for us, service-based industry, like that has to be number one. Like the client has to be number one in that situation. I also love the side of showing yourself that you can get so much shit done. Like, I really think that everyone is so much more capable of so many things compared to what they think that they're capable of.
100%.
Like, I think people shut themselves down too soon. They don't give themselves that self-belief that, I think they should be, because everyone's fucking they got so much potential. And like, I think not enough people are tapping into that. And every time we get on top of something or, have this resilient approach of something comes up in the day and you just get it done, it's just like armor to the armory. Like, you're just like showing yourself time and time again that you can do the thing.
It's just a vote. It's a vote in the direction of the person that you want to be, right? And the person that you become. Like, when you get that option where you face a crossroads like that and you get to choose whether you go down that road or that road, you're essentially voting for the person that you want to become. And each time you make a choice that goes against the person that you want to become, that's a vote towards the opposite person, the complete opposite person. And you look in like a voting poll, like if you're wanting someone to win, what do? Like, you vote for the person who you want to win. Like, it's so simple with that. So then when you look, like, you have to just get very clear and identify the kind of person that you want to be. And that's something that I had to do as well, which I think has led to that. The actions following that is, who do I want to be? Like, touching on exactly what you talked about there, touching on your tattoo, actor non-verbal. Like, I want to be someone who's known as like, who does what they say they do. Yep. And obviously there'll always be times where you slip up, but you take responsibility for that, right? But for the most part, you're like, I want to be someone that does what they say they do. Like, that's an identity that I want to live by. When people like recognize me, I want those to be one of the traits that comes to their mind.
Yeah. And that's a massive one, actually, that, I didn't even make note of, but work out who it is you want to be in this life.
You have to identify, because then you need something to measure, in a sense. It's the same with how we track and measure progress in the gym. Like, if you're wanting to like do different things, but it's in regards to what? Like, what does that look like? You're like, oh, I want to be a better person. Fantastic. What does better look like?
Yeah.
How does better work? Like, what does better do? What do they do in their day-to-day lives that makes them a better person? So getting very clear on those things, like I wrote those things down in my notes, and I'm like, these are the kind of traits that I want to have as an individual. And I wrote them down from people I've seen around me, people like yourself. I'm like, Breezy always puts things into action. He always does that. I want to do that because I know what it feels like being on the other side of that and seeing you do it. I'm like, it builds trust. Like, it builds good character. I'm like, you're reliable. I know that every time you say that you're going to do it. I want to have that. When I say that to people, I want people to feel that too.
Yeah.
So when you write those things down, you can start to work towards putting those characteristics and those traits and those things in your day of who you actually want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise, what does it look like?
Yeah, 100%. One of the things I threw down was, the approach of having a growth mindset. And, for me, I really do want to make the most out of life, and especially in business, especially in work, especially like impacting those around me. Like, we're not fucking here forever. Like, we're going to be gone one day, and it could be a week's time. It could be 10 years time. It could be fucking 40. We don't know that. So I think you need to try and like, squeeze the lemon as hard as you can and get the most out of life as possible. And I think having a growth mindset is a great way to do that. But what you're touching on there is the way to actually start to build a growth mindset is take a step back, like work out who you want to be in this life, and then take steps towards that around the character that you're trying to be. But I think a massive part is you got to hold yourself accountable. There's so many things throughout the day that you should do. It might be around training. It might be around your nutrition. It might be around the decisions that you make, ultimately reflecting the character that you are. At the end of the day.
You full do.
You do. And I think if you can become your best friend, but also like your toughest critic in times like that and situations like that, I think that's really how you hold yourself accountable. Not relying on other people.
Taking ultimate responsibility. We talk about this all the time with working with clients and individuals. Like, there's only so much we can do as trainers. We can provide everything, but ultimately the person has to show up. They have to take responsibility. Even it comes down to the smallest things, man. Like, there are times where I've said I was going to do something, or I was meant to do something and forgot, and you pull me up on it, and not in a bad way. You go, hey, did you do this? And every part of me wants to go, oh, fuck. Fuck you, Breezy. You seen all the shit I've been doing? And you want to like dive into that victim mentality, being like, oh, well, what the fuck have you done, mate? I've done this and I've been here. But I'm like, Yeah, but like I said I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So like I said I was going to do it. I had the two options there. Don't say you're going to do it if you can't commit to it. Or if you are going to do it because you said you're going to do it, then you have to find and prioritize time of the day regardless of how that falls.
Yeah.
Like there's two ways of doing that. And then if you said, hey, yep, I'll get this done, and then it's not done, and then the person goes, hey, why don't you do it? You have to go, I'm sorry, mate, I forgot, or this is what happened. Like that's on me. I forgot. Like I need to get it done.
Yeah.
You have to take responsibility for it, as opposed to like falling into this attitude of like trying to like escape it or blame or be like, yeah, oh, no, but like I've been doing all this, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, mate. That's great. But that's part of the job as well. Like
100%.
Where do you get from like deferring the responsibility to someone else? What characteristics does that build for you in your life if you can never take responsibility for actions?
Yeah, exactly.
Where does that leave you?
Yeah, exactly.
When it gets to the more serious stuff, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that big time, man. And like, I think a lot of people have that as their default. You know, it's like put the blame on other people or avoid taking ownership over something that's happened. We always say either that or, you know, take agency over your life. Like you're fucking, you know, a lot of the people around are grown adults. You know, like you're responsible for the decisions that you make. And this like pointing the finger or victim mentality, it's something that I struggle with when I see it in people. When people close to me have that that sort of reaction or that approach, I am like pretty stern on them about it. But it's also like from a massive place of love. Like if you fell short on something that I knew that you were, and you've done this with me as well, you know, something that you're capable of doing, and you've fallen short on that, like we call each other out on it in a fucking place of love though. That's what it is, you know. And it's that whole thing that you said before, like you tell me or you ask me, have I done that thing? And I know I haven't done it. Like I don't sit there and bitch and have a sook about it because one, I said that I'm going to do the thing, but two, I understand that that's coming from a place of love. And business side of things, especially, I think if you don't have that with someone, then there would just be so many disputes. Or if you don't have the emotional maturity to know that it's coming from a place of love, then yeah, I think a lot of arguments probably started that way.
I think we're in the 1% with that, man. I think a lot of people have issues with that. Yeah. We're in this weird game that we're like, we're like constantly, without saying it, we're like constantly trying to do like slightly more than the other person. Not to like,
I didn't know that.
Not to get, well, I'm winning then. Not to get like one up, but like, I never want to fall into that conversation that you have to have with me. Like, I'm not necessarily scared of having it because I feel I'm confident enough to take responsibility, but I just don't want to have that conversation to begin with. Like, I'm constantly always trying to do things and get almost like one step ahead all the time so we don't. And I couldn't even count on one hand how many times we've had a conversation like that. Usually like when we've said we're going to do something, we do it and we hold ourselves to that standard. And I want to do that out of a form of respect. Like it's not just me I'm letting down, you letting down, I'm letting myself down too, letting the team down, letting people around me down. Like you need to start thinking a bit more of a broader perspective of it, of the trivial thing of what it stands for, being like, oh, this person's picking on me. It's like, you actually need to like look at it and take responsibility, being like, well, like reflect on yourself with it.
Yeah, you touched on the team there side of things. That's actually a big point, eh? Like I'm fucking so proud of what we've built in such a relatively short amount of time to have the member base that we have and, you know, a flowing business that we have. We've also got an awesome team, and like I take a lot of pride in like really trying to lead from the front with that. And that comes down to the actions, you know, because people notice what you do and what you don't do, especially. So yeah, I think we're lucky to have the team that we have, but it's sort of like the same with our colleagues, or I shouldn't even say colleagues, our teammates. They're people that I want to make proud as well. Like that's a massive thing for me. Like you're a big role model for me. And so I want to make sure that I'm like making you proud with how we're going about this business and how we're providing the service that we are. You know?
Likewise, you're exactly right. Like when I'm doing things, I want to do it for myself, but I want to do it as a means of like growth, right? And I want to do that because I see what you're doing. I'm like, okay, well, I want to keep doing better as well. Like I want to do better, not just for myself, but for you as like a business partner and for the gym. And then that hopefully that trickles into our team, seeing that, being like, I can see they're taking responsibility, they're, you know, showing respect, they're doing all these things, they've got all these traits, all these characteristics. Like that's what a leader is. That's what a leader becomes, right? you lead from the front, like you build respect. You know, when you do what you say you're going to do, you build trust in your word. Things like that.
One thing, isn't it?
It is, man. Like respect and trust, integrity, all those, when you have those key qualities, man, like it's really, really hard to bring you down. Really, really hard.
Setbacks. How do you face them? If something pops up in, you know, your day or your week, what do you do to make sure that doesn't fucking keep you there and get you back on track to, you know, the functioning person that you are?
Great question. I'm still not awesome at this, actually. I probably hide it very well. It depends obviously on the setback, and it's very contextual. Like it depends on the severity of the setback and what it means. Like there was a few times we had setbacks with the gym that obviously tested us a lot and put us into more severe situations. I always relied heavily on training for things with setbacks, because that was a way for me to create space so it's essentially getting perspective. So when you're in the heat of the storm, it's really hard to see, like from the outside looking in. That's why I like talking to someone else who's on the outside always seems to help with things like that. Yeah. But again, man, with setbacks like that, it just comes to like sink or swim. Like you have the options of letting it hold you there and sitting with it, and then you become victimized and you go, oh, it's not working, and you fall into that failure mentality, or you just go, well, like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Like you make a mistake, you fuck up, and then it's like, okay, well, like, it's a mistake if you do it again.
Yeah.
Like that's what becomes a mistake. Like the first time, what people talk about is a lesson. And it's like, yeah, well, like it is a lesson if you do learn from it. It's not a lesson if you do it again, because then it's a mistake, and then you're not actually growing. You're not going anywhere. That does become a setback, because then you are getting set back. You're not actually being propelled forward. So always reflecting on things like that. And I try to constantly reflect on myself and my self-awareness with those situations, and looking that, again, ultimate responsibility with setbacks. Like, what could I have done better? What could I have done different? How did I handle this situation? Was it actually something that I did? And if it was someone else, a lot of the times, as opposed to trying to like throw blame on them, I'm like, okay, well, how can I better approach this? Like, can I offer some sort of a better service, whether it's better communication, better connection, better teaching as a leader? Like, what is it that I need to do in order to help to prevent this from happening again? So yeah, it's a tough one. It's very contextual. It depends on the situation, but again, man, it comes back to the black and white with setbacks. Like, you set it back, you want to sit in it and bathe in it, fine. But like, how...
Two options, right?
Two options.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, similar, man. Like, I think the first step to a lot of problem solving is like awareness and being aware of, you know, what it is that's ever happened, or like how you're feeling in that moment. But the only real way that you can then put a plan in place to, you know, get out of the rut that you're in is self-reflecting, you know, and there's so many different ways that you can do that. Journaling, I obviously love. That's like my other business. So, but also, like, I don't know, I'm pretty strict with myself to not let something affect me for a certain amount of time. Like, I think it's just like, you end up wasting so much time anyway if you keep yourself in a certain situation, you know, 1 day, 2 day, and then turns into a week, turns into 2 weeks. So, yeah, two options, pull yourself out of it.
That's a Tiger Woods special.
Yeah, you're right.
You never heard the Tiger Woods? What he used to do? I think it was like when he used to have a bad shot, he'd take like 3 or 4 steps, and after, like, he'd have 3 or 4 steps to think about his, like, what he did wrong.
Yeah.
And then it was gone.
Yeah. That's
Which
cool.
is cool. Like, when you look at it like that, it's the same with rumination and, you know, even the ability to separate thoughts and thinking. Like, they're two separate things. Like, you can't eliminate thoughts. Things come and go in your head all the time. It's like a constant carousel, but we like choose what we decide to grab onto.
It's that book that we read.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Don't believe everything you think. Yeah. But with like things like that, with rumination, it's not a matter of, like, I think individuals start looking at people who are more resilient or can handle setbacks, and they go, oh, they don't feel it at all. Like, they wouldn't even understand because they don't get like this feeling what I have. And it's like, it's not a matter of eliminating it completely. It's, we've done enough work that when something happens like this, the time that it affects me has significantly reduced compared to someone else. Yep. When someone gets cut off, like in traffic, and like they go, oh my God, that person did that, and they ruminate.
Their day's blown out.
Their whole day's blown out, or their whole week's blown out, because that starts escalating into more things.
Yep.
And we do it and we go, fuck, what a dickhead. And then in 10 seconds, we're back listening to country music in the car.
Yeah, and that's probably what I was trying to get at before is like, I think that's something I've gotten a lot better with is whatever the thing has put you in that situation, like not letting it, prolong.
Decreasing the time of rumination.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a matter of like we're superheroes that it doesn't happen to us. It still happens to us all the time.
Yeah.
But in terms of the actual time spent in that place, we're constantly doing things to reduce the amount of time. So then the time out of it, we can be more productive. We can be working towards the person we want to be. And that's a massive thing is people just spend so long in these places. It's not a matter of getting rid of them. Like you think like it'd be great to get rid of them, but there's always a good way to reflect back on it. Like part of me doesn't want to get rid of them all the time. I'm still human. I still feel emotions. You still get angry. You still get upset. Yeah. But I don't want to ruminate it onto the point where it becomes paralyzing.
Yeah, and that's it. Like I'm definitely not sitting in saying that I just get over things straight away, but I know the consequences of letting something affect me for too long.
For sure.
And, how that's going to impact me for the rest of the day or my work or whatever that is. So, yep, agreed, my friend.
Great point.
I reckon you've got to get back to the gym.
Oh, too. Work must be done, mate. Speaking of.
I've got to go for a beach walk, so.
That sounds... You poor bugger.
Yeah. Well, I'm jealous. You get to be around the vibe of the gym. It'll be good energy in there tonight.
What are you going to do on the beach? Have a little think? What are you going to think about?
Catch up with Tay, so we're going for a little walkies. Well, whilst I'm there with Taylor...
You can think and be with someone at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, you can.
But I'll be in the back of my mind, which will very quickly make its way to the front.
The definition of communication I would say, be when you're thinking out loud. Because thinking internally, you don't see it, but thinking out loud would be a form of talking.
I actually might only talk about Think Loud Agency with Taylor the whole time on my walk.
Think Loud Agency, please tell me more.
If you want a little podcast production set up just like this with a very, very handsome man that will be sitting at the end of the table, at the end of the couch, at the end of your office, whatever it is, wherever you've got the setup.
So fair dinkum handsome too.
For the right price, he'll even come to you. Or you could come to him. I don't know if that's an option. He does that for us.
You sold me, mate. You sold me. I'm going to give him a call after this.
Yeah. Definitely come check out Andrew Cooney, the man, the myth,
the legend.
And the most handsome bloke in our gym.
Could not agree more. We're going to fight him too now.
Everyone's
too hot for us. Mate. Yeah, go on.
It's going to be me and Jaydon on a phone soon. Fuck. Yeah, that's definitely hit him up. Think Loud. You can find him on Instagram.
That'll do.
It's 2024. People always like, got a business card, stuff like that. I'm like, just Instagram stuff.
Look, man, while you're there, while you're plugging, if people want to find out that bloody headquarters gym or something, where do you reckon they'd go for that?
Oh yes.
Where would they find that?
That's the one we run.
Is that like the one, like two things together?
Hybrid headquarters.
Hybrid.
Yes.
Hybrid headquarters. Yeah, that one. Mate, where would we find that?
Mate, we're physically located at 90 to 94 the entrance road, Erina.
Unit 20.
Unit 20. Big sign out the front. On top of that, you could just go to our website, www.thehybridhq.com.au. If you want to email us, info@thehybridhq.com.au, I believe.
.au.
And because it's 2024, just jump on Instagram, The Hybrid HQ.
Perfect, mate. That was fantastic. I don't know if Pearso's going to get his job back.
Pearso.
We're going to have to sit him down for an interview.
We miss Pearso. Bring him back.
Casting couch.
See ya.